So here are top 6 reasons your team keeps missing SLAs. And no, it's not about bad luck or tech debt. These are the core mistakes that silently kill deals with enterprise clients. While many early-stage tech companies can neglect the service-level agreements, it becomes a significant issue when acquiring large enterprise clients. It's not a secret that unmet service-level agreements can ruin an organization's reputation or just even destroy the organization. The consequences are enormous. Still, having SLA early is a good internal metric. While it doesn't help any practical external implication, it still helps the team to practice maintaining the SLA on lower scale so the organization is ready for the whole commercial experience of SLA. So the first reason for unmet SLA is based on it, and it is the lack of SLA-Driven Development. In other words, there is a lack of site reliability engineering operation. Usually, site reliability operations are embedded into development once the SLAs are agreed upon in the contract. It doesn't make sense to embed site reliability engineering if you have 2 clients and most of your infrastructure is hypothetical. But on the other hand, when you only starting embedding site reliability operation once you have commercial responsibility, it leaves you no choice to make mistakes. It is even more challenging because site reliability operations are new, and thus adopting new operations without mistakes and lessons is usually hard. So this brutal reality significantly impacts SLAs, making it hard for well-developed organizations to show their first SLA impression. The straightforward solution for this problem is to adopt site reliability engineering as soon as possible. Of course, it might not make sense to overload early startup experimental and prototyping like an MVP operations with SRE. Still, once the startup is validating and turning into a sustainable business, it's time to start adopting the site reliability engineering, even if there is no SLA obligation in front of the customers. Early SRE is a good exercise for the team, helping them to get early real-world trial and error experience with maintaining SLA. This approach allows us to fail and learn quickly before these failures have dramatic consequences. While site reliability engineering ensuring that we meeting our SLAs, sometimes the reason of unmet SLAs is outside of the engineering. So the next reason of unmet service level agreement are unclear expectations. Service level agreement is an industry standard number for measuring the availability of provided services. Everyone aims to establish the numbers and agree on them as soon as possible. The problem is that meaning of SLA is not always clear. We want to stand out, we want to prove our viability and feasibility, so we say we will provide you 99.99% of availability. But it's not just about saying that, it's about understanding what's behind these numbers. Furthermore, there is no unified definition of SLA for all products and services. So each organization, each product, each solution is unique. Each market, each customer is different. While agreeing on 99.99% SLA is easy, what is included in these numbers is unclear. Each complex system consists of multiple components. Some components are accountable to the provider and some to the client. So it is important to define as precisely as possible which services, endpoints, dashboards, so on and so forth are included in the SLA evaluation, and be explicit about it. Offering 99.99% of everything might be challenging, so it's crucial to analyze it to understand customers' workflows and usage patterns. Understanding which operations are essentials for the customers and which are just beneficial. Focus higher SLA on components responsible for crucial operations fulfillment while relaxing SLA for secondary operations. Early contracts could be flexible and negotiable, allowing for dynamic SLA depending on the system components that are comfortable for both the client and the team. The main point here is to be specific, to describe precisely component by component and point by point which SLA are guaranteed. Having this specific agreement establishes a clear expectation and builds a good SLA reputation. Eventually, after the team becomes more comfortable with higher SLAs and the organization has more market feedback from multiple customers, the SLAs could be standardized and offered the same for all clients. But again, the key is to be specific about the definition of the SLAs and ensure customers understand them. So the next reason that stops most organizations from meeting their SLAs are monitoring issues. So monitoring is our eyes on SLAs. No site reliability engineering possible without monitoring, and thus no SLA exists. You can't improve what you can't see. Many teams lack the proper tooling and alerting to catch the issues before they snowball. Furthermore, in many cases, the monitoring system is perceived as something that done once and forgotten. The truth is that monitoring is the most critical system for maintaining SLAs. Monitoring is a separate product that requires planning, validation, feedback, and continuous improvement. Neglecting these might have a significant negative consequences on SLAs. It is one thing to build a meaningful and actionable monitoring system, and another to continuously adapt it to rapidly changing environment. None of this happens from the first time. Now, think about this. Are your alerts informative enough to inform you about significant issues, but filtered enough to prevent noisy elements from distracting you from what matters? It's not just about seeing all the issues, it's also about to be informed about the issues in order of priority. Because if frequent small issues pollute the monitoring channels, it will let us miss some important high-impact rare issues. So it's important not just to be informative, but also be concise and filter out everything that is not mandatory. Also, how fast can you take action based on monitoring alerts? How can you do it faster? This comes to your incident recovery runbooks and development operations. How do you keep monitoring systems simple, straightforward, informative, and actionable? So these are the questions that can help you build and continuously improve your monitoring system, so it is compelling enough to maintain your SLAs. While a lot of SLA issues are technical, there are also operational ones. So another reason of unmet SLA is lack of ownership. You're probably recalling the situation from your work when you see some Slack message about alert. You just, oh, alert occurred. Someone will take a look into it. I need to get back to my work. I have lots of stuff to do. I think it's something familiar for you, right? Of course, multiple daily alerts and various engineers switching between tasks and alert troubleshooting will definitely hurt delivery performance, so you can't just have engineers that completely jump on alerts. You also need them to do the work to create features, so on and so forth. But the result is that people usually either overreact or neglect the issues. Hopefully, by establishing clear roles and quick reaction changes it. Having a clear responsibility of who is accountable for what changes everything. Now, imagine there are 3 persons accountable for specific service. It's agreed in the document, so it's not just some assumption. Additionally, we assign the on-call responsibilities to the specific persons in particular time frames. So when an alert comes, the on-call person digs into it in seconds. If on-call engineer can't troubleshoot or solve the issue, they immediately call the accountable person and they know where to find who is responsible and how to reach out to them. At least one of 3 accountable persons has agreed to be on duty to be ready to pick up on-call troubleshooting from on-call request. So this is just an example of ownership. Everyone knows where to act and where to communicate if help is needed. It brings results. Teams become more reactive yet productive. Issues are resolved before the consequences occur, and incidents have a low SLA impact. However, maintaining SLA becomes even harder when organizations are scaling. So the next reason of unmet SLA are scaling issues. Maintaining the same performance levels becomes more challenging as the system grows or user demand spikes. Many people think playing a big corporation while you're a startup will solve the scaling issues. So they start building complicated microservices and high-scale, low-latency elastic infrastructure, but actually it only worsens. The unclear startup environment requires agility to change and pivot rapidly. Complicated deployment infrastructure only slows down this process. Furthermore, the big tech for startups mindset does not solve scaling problems. It just provides an illusion that things will work the way we expect. But the reality is different. Scale usually happens in a way you haven't expected. The features expected to be highly usable become less relevant, and those neglected unimportant features become the core of the scaling. Thus, twisting the scalability of the entire software architecture from one direction to another slows down processes and significantly decreases service reliability. It results in unmet SLAs. So instead of prematurely scaling software architecture, focus on embracing flexible development operations that unlock rapid change capabilities. Build without elusive scalability, but make your system simple enough to adapt quickly to rapid scalability change. When your scaling trajectory is hypothetical, focus less on scalable software architecture. Instead, improve and exercise development operations to rapidly adjust for the high load when the demand comes. All of these are in addition to practicing an internal site reliability engineering. So talking about operations further, another reason of unmet SLA are manual processes. Toil always slows rapid response and instant recovery. On the other hand, building and maintaining automations slows development operations. There is always a debate around what should be automated and what should not be. Automation sometimes breaks and requires maintenance, so balancing too much toil and automation burden is hard. If reporting or response actions aren't automated, it's easy to miss SLA targets. All the best DevOps and site reliability engineering practices advise reducing toil as much as possible and automating everything as much as possible. In theory, this is the only right way, but it is still a debate in practice. I usually use the rule of thumb. It should be automated if the operation needs to be done thrice. Of course, this is not generic formula, as if some toil needs to be done 3 times, then in some cases it might be faster and more reliable to do it manually and then automate. So every automation decision requires unique evaluation. The frictionless process motivates team to create more automation. When creating an automation is easily as manual operation, automation will be adopted successfully and engineers will be excited to automate everything rather than run away with manual workarounds. So less toil, faster response, quicker incident resolution, better SLAs. So to make automation process frictionless, consider these. First of all, keep the automation code simple. Making code more abstract in the pursuit of following patterns and paradigms increases cognitive complexity in understanding and maintaining the code. Thus, it creates a higher friction towards automation. Then, second, duplicate code is okay and even beneficial. It's not a code smell competition. It is about the code to be explicit, easy to understand, and thus maintain. Third, do not overcomplicate the quality of automation jobs. Let them be created and maintained quickly. The immediate quality makes little sense, and the only valuable test for automation jobs is real-life execution. If automation fails, there is nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that it won't hurt anything. Quickly jump and fix it. So concluding everything we've just discussed about maintaining SLA, there is no generic runbook for maintaining them. You can't just read Google SRE book, apply its processes, and think you are done with SLAs. Each organization is unique. and requires a tailored approach, so it's essential to find your unique way to successful SLAs. I hope the tips that I shared with you in this video will inspire you to start your unique journey towards successful SLAs. Cheers!